Okay, what's up, boys? What's up, fellas? What's up, my online friends? I'm Anti, and I'm here to talk about Monster Hunter Rise. So I bought the newly released PC port for this game like a week ago, and I've been loving this game. Bear in mind, this isn't a final review or anything, this is just a first impressions. So yeah, I'll tell you so far what I like about the game, what I don't like, what I'd like to see added and such. Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoy what you're hearing or seeing, if I'm stimulating any of your senses, and let's just jump right in. So I'd like to start by saying the people criticizing this game's graphics, idiots. Even. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, so I'll blur that out. The graphics, bear in mind this game was released on the Nintendo Switch originally, and we all know that the Switch is complete doo-doo. But the PC port, on PC, it looks good. I play on high settings, high, ultra, I don't know which one it is. I play on that, and I get that it's not the most realistic game around, but it's enough to actually immerse you into the world and such.
He did?
And I think if a game can achieve that much, you don't need to criticize its graphics. It's done its job. I think it's an enjoyable game. The graphics aren't meant to be the main focus. It's the actual gameplay that is meant to be the central focus, what you mainly look at. So let's get on to the gameplay. I tweeted out recently this tweet because this game does make you feel like an anime protagonist, and I'm not even joking. You can say that about so many games, but this one truly made me feel like I've been playing some like knockoff and Attack on Titan with that grappling hook. It was crazy, like flinging yourself at all these monsters, slicing them in midair. It is so fun. I love how like fast paced the game can be if you want it to be, the way that it's so versatile with how you want to play it. If you don't want to grapple around all the time and strike monsters' heads, you don't need to. You can take the old-fashioned route and just go at their feet, and I do a bit of both, and it's always so fun. The gameplay is what makes this game shine so much. I actually played Monster Hunter World when it came out. This game I love 100 million times more than World. I didn't really get into World, but this game I've really been grinding, and I think it is one of my favorite games I've played in the last year or so. So how the combat works is you have a bunch of different classes. I don't know if it's like 10, 12 or 14, one of those anyway. I choose the sword and shield because I thought that was the most basic sounding one, and I'm not really a Monster Hunter veteran, so I was a bit worried if I'd actually enjoy the game. So bunch of different weapons you can choose from, and you can do combos when you're out and about hunting down big ass monsters. So if you just button mash, chances are you're not going to get very far in the game, but if you learn these combos and all these moves and the best way to defeat these monsters, their weak points, you are gonna slay, queen.
Trespassing on my property. You didn't win in my yard.
Wait.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
I'm telling you, I've memorized a few combos, and you can see so much difference in the damage you actually do to enemies. So it's that type of game. Like, I wouldn't say it's not an advanced game, but it's not a simple game to learn either. You need to really get a grip of what's really happening and how you want to play it. There's also crafting in the game, which makes it so much more fun and so much more worthwhile to actually hunt these big monsters down. After every hunt, it just feels so rewarding to be going to the smithy and, you know, buying yourself a brand new weapon or helmet or something of the sort, and it actually gives purpose to like going on these expeditions, because basically you can either go on like a quest where you have to do a certain task in a certain time limit, or you can go on an expedition, which is basically free roam and you do whatever you want. You can gather materials, you can go hunt monsters, it's whatever you want in that one, no time limit. And the fact that this smithy exists means that going on expeditions is actually worthwhile. It's worth your time, because sometimes you need a certain ore to like get a new chest plate or whatever, and you don't really have the time to be doing that in the middle of a hunt. So going on these little free roam adventures, finding where these resources spawn, it's clever of the developers to add in all these features. You can tell they really thought about how to add purpose to everything they've added to the game. Whilst we're on the topic of crafting, there is also companions that you can have. You can craft little armor and weapon sets for them, and there is two main companions from what I know. There's the palicos, which are like little cat guys that can gather like items for you while you're on a hunt, or they can help you fight enemies. You can select like their aggression type and such when you're in the hub, so you can really morph them into whatever you'd like them to be. And then there's another companion, which is this wolf dog kind of thing. I forgot its name. And basically you can just ride those. Yep, you've got rideable dogs. And from what I know, this is the first time they've appeared in Monster Hunter, but don't quote me on that. They definitely weren't in World though. You can ride them and it makes traversal so fun because they're so speedy. You can also fight on their backs if you want, but word of advice, don't do that. I fell into that trap for the first few times that I played. It feels safer to actually fight on like the back of your dog instead of on foot, but fighting on foot is so much better. You do way more damage and you can dodge attacks way easier. So yeah, for anyone that's wanting to get the game, just keep that in mind. But the addition of these dogs, the whole exploration and traversal side of the game, perfect. Maybe the maps aren't the best looking in the world, but they're big and open and they're perfect for monster hunting. Unlike World, I didn't like World's map because normally they were like really tight, claustrophobic maps. I remember the main like rainforest place at the start of the game. I hated it with a passion. I hated having to crawl through all these different little tunnels and try and make my way out of them. This is way better. It's way more simplified for smooth brains like me, and GG's for that. I'm glad that the developers thought about all the stupid people. Lastly, I think I'd like to touch upon the co-op. I've been playing it with a friend. God, I always say this and it always sounds like a complete lie. I promise you guys, I have friends, I do. But I bought the game with a friend and we've been playing it all this week, and the game is really good for co-op. I remember Monster Hunter World not being that good for co-op because of how the online worked, the invitation system. In this, you can basically run around the hub with your friends, which you couldn't do in World. You could only go on hunts with them. In this one, you can go around the village, you can go to the canteen, grab yourself a bite to eat. It's just these simple things that have improved the game as a whole compared to World. I know people love World, but I have an opinion. Please, just let me keep this opinion, please. But if you're gonna get the game, I highly recommend you to get it with a friend. It also makes the hub quests so much easier, which is basically just multiplayer hunts, because it's recommended for you to play it with a few more people. You don't really want to go solo into these big hunts against these massive creatures, but it's just a fun experience altogether. Just going out with your friends, having different classes to each other to best defeat monsters. And like I said, this game just feels like a whole anime, and I'm not being racist. It's not just because is it Japanese? Okay, now I'm starting to be racist. It's Japanese. I was not racist after all. It was a logical guess, a logical assumption. Don't go into my comments hating on me. That's pretty much it. That's all I've had to say. First impressions. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video or if it helped you in any way to decide whether you're gonna cop or drop. And finally, check out the Would Love to podcast. We are doing weekly uploads talking about just games in general, all things games, and also we'll be discussing the new My Little Pony game coming out in May on the podcast, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Goodbye.
Rats, I've heard that game is hard, is it?
Oh gosh,
It
it's
is.
so hard, but it's so good.